Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way.
Hey, everybody. This is Angela K. Austin, and today I am here with S. Frost. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So today we're going to talk with S. Frost about her writing. What she writes, why she writes, when she started writing, how many books does she have out there, how many pen names. We're going to get into it and introduce you guys to this awesome new writer, or maybe new to you writer. Tell everybody who you are and tell them what you write.
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I'm 43. I'm a mother and a wife first and foremost. I guess I'm just an ordinary person that just likes to write all these crazy things that come in my head.
So tell us about some of those crazy things. So now I know you write as S. Frost, but you also write under another pen name. So do you break your genres out up under those pen names? What do you write as S. Frost? And what else do you write? Tell us about those genres a little bit.
Well, right now as Frost, I didn't really put myself in any category. It's like whatever touches me, I try to write about. Right now, the game 1 and 2 are suspense books. So I wanted to grab the audience attention, bring them in, but it's also romance. I do stick with romance. That's the number one thing. No matter what name I'm under, it has some kind of love story to it. So that's what it is. And then under my former name, it was also romance, but it was more suspense and more of trying to go with social issues that I felt were important to me.
You know, that speaks to my heart because, you know, I write about the Civil War, I write about civil rights movement in America. So I do a lot of social causes in my writing as well. Let's talk a little bit about your love of romance. All right. I saw you throw up a big smile when you said that. So, you know, I love romance. I was about to say who doesn't, but a lot of people don't necessarily like to read
That's
romance
true.
books. But I love romance. I love the idea of, you know, that little bit of just magic sometimes, you know, just that possibility, that idea of having, you know, just that kind of, just simple kind of love that has this, you know, this thing that makes you feel so giddy inside almost. So tell me, what is it about romance that drew you to that? Because you were like, no matter what you write, you got a little bit of romance in there. So what draws you to romance?
Because I think no matter what we go through in life, if you can find love, you can overcome those things. Because and sometimes it's not always just love with another person. Sometimes it's about finding love for yourself too. And sometimes you find that when you meet the right person or when you get in the right circumstances. But I believe love is a magical thing. No matter which form you find it in, is so powerful. And I think when we look at life through lenses of love, we could come back anything. So a lot of times I use romance and saying, okay, this person went through this dark time, but the dark time led them to this extraordinary feeling, this extraordinary thing where they're connected to another person, because I believe we want to all be connected to someone.
I absolutely agree. You know, I think that, you know, so many people run around in this world because they're lonely, you know, and they're like, I can't find love. And they're looking for this idea of perfection or something like that. And so, you know, they miss out on these opportunities. But I believe,
Yes.
like you, I believe we all long to be connected, to be a part of something, to not spend our lives alone, to not be alone. And I think that's one reason why I gravitate towards women's fiction and romance as well, because I like to show women who are like, you know, not afraid to go after what they want, you know, and even if they lose, they find a way or strength within them, you know, or strength around
Absolutely.
them to just, you know, fight and come out of it, you know, and
yeah.
you know,
And that's another reason why a lot of times when I write my books, you know, a lot of people try to get on me. I mean, I'm an interracial writer, okay? And the reason why I do that a lot of times because, especially right now, we're so divided. Okay, we're divided because of, I mean, a lot of people are not gonna like what I'm about to say, because of leadership that we're under now, that has us looking more and more at color, but in a negative way. Instead of bringing us together, it's dividing us. So I look at a lot of times, I love interracial story because interracial stories show that we can overcome that divide and that love is more powerful than hate. So I write about that, and especially, and I love strong women. I love strong Black women. I mean, I'm sorry, don't care what nobody say. You can't be a strong Black woman. Okay, women are one of the most powerful beings on this earth, and especially Black women. Okay, and when we find our right connection to that person, that soul earth shattering connection, there's no stopping us, okay? Because that doesn't make us weak to find that. It makes us even more powerful. So I like to write about women, yes, they go through dark times, but they're doctors, lawyers. I mean, all these things, coming out of foster care, becoming a doctor, going through a rape, but yet saying, that didn't break me.
That's powerful. You know what? I tell people a lot of times because, I write across religions, races, cultures, all kinds of things, right? And one of the things that I do that, one of the reasons why I do that is because of what you just said. Right now in America, we are very divided. We're divided for just so many reasons, and we're
Yes.
letting that divide get bigger. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I love about, writing in the women's fiction genre and in romance is that, if you have people who can love a shifter, they can love a person who shifts into a bear, or shifts into a wolf, or somebody
Mm-hmm.
who is a vampire. You gotta explain to me why they can't love, someone who is just of a different race, or love across religions or love across cultures, because there are so many things that connect us,
Mm-hmm.
and our differences make us unique. Our differences make us wonderful, unique people, but and
Mm-hmm.
those things I think should be celebrated as we come together,
Yes.
in unions, of all kinds. So I love that you said that. And the unfortunate thing about the divide between all people, cultures, and all things is
Mm-hmm.
that one of the things that that came out of that, because people have tried so hard to divide us and to make us feel so whatever, that those things have inadvertently, I think, made us as strong as we are. Because if somebody
Yes.
tells you, oh, because you are of this race or this religion or this culture, somebody
Mm-hmm.
tells you that makes you less than, the first thing you say is, oh, well, hold up now, that makes me
Yeah.
stronger,
Yeah.
you're like, that makes me stronger, it makes me whatever. And then you start to take so much ownership of that. And I love writing about that, like a lot of
Yes.
my women have been like, through divorces or bad relationships or laid
Mm-hmm.
off, or they've had like loss of children, or what kinds of things. And
Mm-hmm.
so these are things that somebody would tell you is going to break you,
Yes.
but it doesn't break you. You use it and you build on it, and you take all the, you take all of the negativity of it and you build on it and you become stronger from it. So I love that you said that, because I mean, I feel like that is really one of the things that I try to make sure I bring across in a lot of my stories, that, really, it's like people say, what does not break you,
Make it stronger.
makes you
Yeah.
stronger, so I
And
love writing those stories. Yeah.
that's what I want people to take away. I don't care what book you write, you read under my pen name, but any book that you read, whether I've written about a vampire or whatever, I want you to know that no matter what you go through, if you can make it out that storm, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely, absolutely, my sister. All right, so now that makes me want to, because now I see what you're writing, right? And like why you're
Mm-hmm.
writing, because you want to have these powerful messages. But now tell us a little bit, like, because you're self-pub, right? Why did you go the self-pub route with this? Did you try some other avenues? Because, you know, these are some strong things that you want to put into your books and get out there. So why self-pub?
Well, when I was under my first name, I wasn't self-published. I was under a publishing company. And it was great. I loved the company. I learned a lot from that company. And I was with After Hours with Christina Gray. And, you know, as she's a writer, and she taught me a lot. I really do feel that when you come out first, as if you don't know the game of publishing, you got to get with somebody that know the game, because it's a hustle game. So I was lucky enough to was reading her book. My husband said, "Look, you wrote a book. That's almost kind of like what you would write. See if she'll take you." And being the smart man that he is, I did. She called me an hour later. So I was lucky enough, you know, she taught me a lot. But then it also is too, at the same time, she had a brand. And sometimes I felt that I had to do certain things to fit in that brand. Whether it was just a comment she made, you know, not criticizing, but, you know, just saying, you know, hey, we need this or whatever, or whether it was down to the cover. And I just said, well, if it's my book, I want it to be mine through and through. So when I read the comments, you know, oh, the grammar wasn't right, I don't want to say, well, you know, I already know that because such and such. I want to say, okay, you know what, this is what I can work on from my end, find another editor or whatever. You know, I just really wanted my book to be mine through and through. So what I did, I took a graphic design class from Brian Sparks and learned how to do my own covers. So then when I did that, I got what Unique Griffin from Unique Words, and she was like, think about what they do, learn what they do, so that way when you learn what they do, you can do it too. Then I said, okay. So I said, well, let me see what another self-published author. I went to Teresa Hudges, and she was wonderful. She said, look, when you're ready to self-publish, come to me. I will walk you step by step. And I was like, really? And she said, she was one of the people that told me it's enough room for all of us. So I said, okay. And so I continued to learn the game, stay with Christina. Then I did go self-publish. I got with Teresa. She walked me right through it. And so I said, okay. And what happened, I said, well, I had a major tragedy that hit me about 2 years ago. And with that tragedy, I just felt like I couldn't write under the pen name I was anymore. So I wanted to be like a snake and shed my skin. I wanted to shed the name, everything. And I said, okay, I'm at that point now where I'm ready to move on to the next step. And my contract with After Hours was up. So, me and my husband talked about it. He said, you got everything down. You've already self-published. Why go back? So that's what I decided to do. And this is just, self-publishing is a step into my next goal. And that's to make movies. And if you can't make the books into movies if you don't own the rights. And when you sign with a publisher, you giving them the rights. So I want to make it mine and I want to be able to do what I want to do with it, I got to keep it in my hands.
I like that. Okay, now for all the people out there listening to our voices, did you hear what this lady just said? It's what I talk about all the time. The self-publishing world is filled with people who, if you tell somebody that it's something you want to do and you want to get and be a part of it, there's somebody out there who will teach you. There's somebody out there who will help you. Because I had the same thing happen. You know, it's like, I was with a lot of publishers, they went under, they weren't paying royalties, they weren't promoting. It was so many reasons, and so I had 3 different ones that I was with, and it's like over the 12, 13 years that I've been out here, the last 5 or so, I've been self-publishing because I was like, like your husband told you, you'd already started to do it, right? You were doing it, you were learning. There were people who were willing to teach you. I had the same thing. It was like, at first I was like, oh man, I do not feel like being the one. I don't want to worry about graphic design. I don't want to do I don't want to do editing. But see, mind you, I have a master's in marketing. I teach marketing on a graduate school level and an undergrad level. And I've worked as a marketer for over 20 years. There's no reason. I've used Photoshop. I know, there's no reason. No
Yeah.
reason. The only thing that was stopping me was me,
That's true.
And it's like your husband told you, people out there listening to us, don't be afraid. If you found this channel or if you found this podcast, that means that you are already 50% of the way there because you're already doing your research. Now all you have to do is just take those other last steps and don't get scared. Keep on pushing, reach out to people, ask questions. I mean, you took a graphic design course so you could do your covers, get it, all right? Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't feel like designing covers. I'm like, here I come, Fiverr. Here I come, Fiverr. Shout out to Fiverr, yoo-hoo.
It was funny because once again, it goes back to Teresa Hudges. She was working with Brian, and Brian was doing her covers. And I saw that he was taking the class. And I was like, and then Unique said, I remember what she said. She said, everything that they do, you can do. Mm-hmm. So what you do, you cut out the middleman so you can keep getting your money. And then, like I said, my work is my work. Right now, whether you like it, dislike it, or whatever, they're my words.
Yeah.
It's my marketing that I learned from Christina Gray. She told me how to market.
Yeah.
Then it came from hiring Unique. Whatever I didn't know in marketing, Unique took up. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, Brian told me how to do covers. So it's my covers too. So he told me where to go, how to do it, or whatnot. I mean, I may not be up to his level, but I'm practicing, and it's my work. And whatever.
I love what you just said, though. I love what you just said, where you may not be up to his level, but you just started, right? For everybody out there, when you come out the gate, it won't be perfect. Your writing won't be perfect. Your editing won't be perfect. Your covers won't be perfect. But you know what is perfect is your attitude, because you're trying. Mm-hmm. You are trying to make it happen. So keep trying. And, for me, like I said, I've used so many different softwares in my lifetime. I'm like, good Lord, if somebody gives me one more freaking piece of software, I think my head's going to explode, okay? I literally think it's just going to go boom, right? But the thing is, it's like you said, get your money, cut the middleman out. Come on, people. Let's do a little hand clap. Mm-hmm. Because...
I mean, and Amazon it makes it possible for you to do that. So, and they already taking enough of your money as it is.
Yep.
So, you want to be in this business for your voice to be heard. That's absolutely true. But you want to get paid for it. You want to sit up there. You don't want to say, well, why is he getting more money for what my work is than I'm getting it, and it's my work.
Yep.
So yeah. So I and then. On top of it, all that knowledge that I acquire, when somebody comes to me, I do the same thing that Teresa, Unique, and everybody, and Christina did for me. I pass it on.
That's it.
Because it's absolutely, I've seen a number of authors bash another author, and I don't find that, appealing, because it's enough room for all of us.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, whoever said, like, every reader I have ever met, myself included, I swear, I can read 2 or 3 books at the same time, read multiple books in a week. I have books that I put out, people contact me, they're like, yeah, I read that book in like 3 hours. So why would there not be enough room for me and for you? Why would there not be? There's plenty of room, and paying it forward, to me, is how you build your writing community. Mm-hmm. And it's how you build your reading, your readership base, right?
Yeah.
Because if I help you, you help me, he helps her, she helps, we all help each other. Well, not only is that part of our promotion, because now, I have a conversation, I'm like, yeah, I remember S. Frost and we were talking about XYZ and yada, yada, and you, oh yeah, I was talking with Angela K. Austin and she was yada, yada. That's promotion. That's word of mouth. That's something that you can't even pay for, people. Mm-hmm. So when you help each other, you build your community. And when you build that community, you are making it stronger and stronger. And you're helping the next person get better. And you're giving readers more product. We are making it better out there. Better books, more books. We are doing great things when we do that. So paying it forward, I'm all about that. That was great. I'm glad you said that. So now, when you talk about all these people who have, they've helped you create your books. Now you know how to do your cover art. So I know, like I said, with your other name, your other pen name and stuff, but now you've got all this product out there. Some of it with your old publisher, some of it,
Mm-hmm.
that's just you. And I don't know if you're pulling all that stuff down and putting it all under your new name. But what do you think? Like, what book do you think was the book that made every reader out there go, I gotta read more by this person. I need more from this author. Like, what was the book that made you feel like, yes, this is me. I can keep doing it?
Honestly, the very first book that I ever published, and that was under the T.M. Pigatt name, and it was under After Hours, and it was Shattered Lives. That was the name of the book. I have spent, because that was a challenging book. So many times throughout the years, I would write something down or start a book and never finished it. But then when people gonna laugh, but when 50 Shades of Grey came out, and I was like, wait a minute. I read that book. I was like, I can do that. I can do that. And my husband said, you sure can. And so I said, okay. And it was funny because I hated school and I hated everything about English, but I became an avid reader after 50 Shades of Grey. And so when it came down to that, I said, well, here's a challenge. I don't know who I saw. I wish I did, but I saw somebody say, even if you write a word down a day or a sentence down a day, each sentence, each word will go and shape itself into a story. So as long as you have what you want in mind. So I said, well, maybe if I do that, just write a word a day. But then I said, okay, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna write me a paragraph a day. So I said my challenge was to finish a book. And lo and behold, I finished it. It took me months and months because I redid it or whatever. But I had put so much into that book because what I like to do, and people always they never believe it, but each book has parts of my life in it, you know, and I've had a very colorful life, so it's made for some good books. So with that, when I finally finished, I said, "Oh my God, I did it!" And then when I got the call from Christina, I remember my husband was cutting the grass, and all the thing I did was just went outside, was jumping up and down. I did it. And he said, "You did it?" And yeah, he ran for the lawnmower and just came and hugged me. But that's the book I think that made people take notice. They were like, "Wait a minute, this is something. She got a little something with her." So people love that book. And then when I went, the one that made me know that I could go self-publish was the Clock Story series that I did, and Love Comes Hard. I still, to this day, even though I think that book is a year old now, I got I think a message 2 weeks ago. She said, "Okay, so when's the next one coming out?" I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. I was going to do another one. She was like, "Come on, we got to get some more about it. We got to get something about it." And I was like, I came up with an idea, but I was like, that's on the back burner right now. So those are the books, and I'm super proud of Shattered Lives 1 and 2 because it was actually one book, and Christina turned it into two. So I'm really super proud of that, and the Clock series that I did.
I love your titles. You said Love Comes Hard or Love Came Hard?
Yeah, Love Comes Hard.
That's a awesome title. Okay, so I have to say, you are the first author I have ever met who has said to me, 50 Shades of Grey made me think I could do it. Oh my jeez. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just telling you. You're the first one who has
look
ever
at 50 Shades differently than a lot of people look at it.
Okay.
Because here's what I mean, it was raunchy, but I mean, and I have to, if for those that are hearing me, if you have not read the books, read the books. There's more to it when you read the books and just watch the movie. And I'm gonna be the first one to say, I own all the books. I own the movies. But what I saw when it came down to 50 Shades of Grey was it gave a voice to those that loved that lifestyle, that when people saw them, they thought of them as deviants. And they weren't all deviants. Some of them are working through things. Some of them, that's just their kink. But it gave a voice to those in a way that I don't think they had a voice before. And that's what I saw when I read the books.
You know, and like I've interviewed Bridget Midway for my channel, for my podcast. And she was one of the first people I ever met who wrote in that space, right? And it's like she used to hold events and everything. And so I get what you're saying about that, because, you know, she really did have it still does, you know, have a place, you know, in that world, to where with her events and attending events and all of that. And that's something that she and I talked about, is that when people look around, if they don't see people who think like them, look like them, who are into what they're into, if they're on the fringe, they feel in some way like, you know, they're not okay. Like what they are into is not okay. And I was telling people that, you know, even me, like when I started writing, one of the reasons I started writing was because I didn't see enough Black and brown women on the pages who were, you know, who were given love, you know. And I've said this a million times. I know you guys who are familiar with this channel and podcast have heard me say this, but we were always the sassy, the sidekick, the mama la figure, the whatever. But, you know, we were just never that girl. We were never that chick, the chick that was just like the man would go to the ends of the earth for, you know? And so it's like, no matter what it is that we're all writing, you know, we're writing it for a reason, but, you know, but I just never heard anyone tie it back to 50 Shades. So I'm going to say, I get it. I understand.
I hope nobody holds it against me.
I feel you. I feel you. I get it. I'm just saying, you are my first. Kudos to you. All right. You know, now I also want to ask you, before we get to your like what's next for you, I want to ask you, because you said something that I thought was interesting, because all of us as writers, you know, we put our emotions on the page every time we write a book. But you said that some of your life is on the pages and that you've had a colorful life. Can you share a little bit of that with us? I mean, if you're comfortable, you know, you don't have to.
No. I'm always more than comfortable, because I feel that if we don't talk about the things that who made us who we are, then they become dirty little secrets. And I don't live in that space. Okay. The thing about it is, because somebody once, and I hope that whoever it was that wrote this, because I'm not going to put their name out there, I hope whoever this person is, I'm about to say what they said, could hear this podcast, because they're about to get their answer. Somebody once wrote, was she abused as a child? Yes. Okay. I was abused. I was raped. I was molested. I also suffer from depression. So that has given me a very colorful life. My husband keeps saying you need to write your story. Unfortunately, I'm not in that space where I'm comfortable, but I put parts of my story into I put parts of my life into my stories. So that way you are kind of getting my life story in a way. Shattered Lives, a woman is trying to escape an abusive husband. Okay, while I was growing up, my birth mother, she was abused as well from the same guy that was trying to molest me and was abusing me. Sometimes you may see an absentee father, but there may be a reason why he's absentee. My father lived in another state. He's now deceased. But we had a great relationship, you know, after we got everything out the way. I mean, so you'll see, you know, interracial relationships. I did those for a long time. So I know about those firsthand too. I don't write about anything that I don't really know about. And if I do, I try to research it. But every book, the game, it has unrequited love, but it also has a mystery, somebody setting somebody up for murder. Now, I ain't never been in that one. Ain't nobody ever tried to set me up for the murder. But I've seen where people have been in circumstances where you found out that they're innocent. So I wanted to put that in there, So and that's why I say I always write about romance and love. I met my husband when I was 19. He healed me in a way that nobody else could ever do. He is my reason for being who I am to this day. He taught me so much about love, compassion, and how to stand up and be who I really am. Having my children taught me that abuse doesn't have to continue on. Somebody can stop it if they just set their mind forward and stay on that path. And then with my mental illness, you'll see in a lot of my books, mental illness, it's an everyday struggle. It's an everyday struggle. No matter how much medicine you take, it is an everyday struggle. That's why I say I want people to understand when they're in that storm of darkness, there is light on the other side of the tunnel. I don't care what you do. You have to make it to that next second. That next second turns into the next minute. That next minute turns into the next hour. You can make it.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that you did that. I tell people all the time, you never know who is reading your work, right? You never know where the author who wrote it came from, what made them write it. And you never know what the impact will be of the work that you've done. So whoever asked you that question about abuse or molestation, I hope that they do see this or that they do hear this, because, maybe it'll touch them in a way. Maybe people who are looking for connections like that. I have a friend who writes, Laura T. Johnson. She writes about domestic abuse because she was in, a relationship.
I think I read a book by her.
You may have. She, for the longest time, her character's name is Lisa Jackson, and Laura's name is Laura Johnson, right? So Laura T. Johnson. So when I met her and I was reading her, I was like, who's this book about? And and for the longest time, she was coy about it, but it was really her publisher who, who was the one who told her, if she was, let that be a part of her story if she was comfortable with it, because it's something that could reach out and touch other people. And since that first book of hers came out, Where Would I Be? She's now written all these other books, to where people, they read her books and they are like fall into these stories. And so, like I said, your book titles, Shattered Promise, I mean, these titles, when you said them, I was just like, love these titles. And now that you've shared part of your story with me, now I can understand that, and I hope that people who are listening and people who are watching, that they understand that, like, when you're creating something, that creation, it comes out of something, it comes from somewhere, even if it isn't necessarily your truth, it's coming from things that you feel or, emotion, something that is important to you in a certain way. Like the closest I've really ever gotten to that was a book that I wrote called Melody. And I've shared this with people before because I'd lost both of my parents in the same year. But when I lost my mother, who passed first, I had really stopped writing, and I didn't have the ability to really, I think, because for me, when I write, I feel like I need to be able to remember and experience all kinds of emotions, happiness, laughter, joy, and, but when you're stuck in one emotion, it doesn't allow you to really just kind of be like, oh, you can't write the happy parts because you're so stuck in this other part. So when I wrote Melody, it was a book that I sent it to my editor. I sent it to some beta readers, and I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Let's just put this bad boy out there. Like, to this day, I have still not ever been able to go back and read that whole book. And the one time I tried was at a reader event, And I just read a small portion of it, and I like broke down in tears. I couldn't even read the small portion. So it's like when you have these things that have transpired in your life. For me, writing has been a cathartic way of being able to shape those things into other things, right? So I love that you said, I love that you shared that, and I love that you reminded us of where creation comes from, where some of these stories come from.
You can't imagine how, I mean, you may or may not be, but you can't imagine for me how writing has been such an important part for my mental health. You know, like sometimes if I get like absolutely mad to where I want to explode, I'd be like, you know what, that person made me mad, but that's okay. I'm gonna get them in that book. You know, and then my husband, he said the one thing to me. He said that he said, write what you know. He said that way you never know who's going through the same thing. And one of the reasons why I shed the name that I had before when I was T.M. Pike and became S. Frost was because, you know, my sister may get mad at me, but like I said, I don't like dirty secrets. 2 years ago, my father killed himself. And when he did that, when he did that, I spoke to him right before he did it. And he did inform me that he was doing it. And it was a long, hard, it's a big story about it, but when he died, something broke. And I just couldn't write. I couldn't write. I felt constrained by the T.M. Pigatt name. I felt, and then there was already some problems with it because I let so many people's advice come into my head, and I wasn't writing my way. I was writing what I thought they wanted and what the public wanted. Because see, success can be a double-edged sword. Because when you have a success for the book, you know, you're like, okay, how do I keep up with the success instead of just saying, okay, stick with what made you successful in the first place. And that's what happened. You know, I'm never going to say I'm not proud of the work that I did, because I am. But like the last couple of the stories that I had under my belt, I think with my publisher probably wasn't the best because I was writing for what I think she needed for her brand. And then also, you know, I was going through the storm of depression a lot of times, so it's hard. But when my dad died and I felt this gripping pain from that situation, I was just like, oh man, I just can't do it anymore. So I was just like, either I had to give up and stop writing, which would have been horrible because these movies are still playing in my head, or I said, okay, shed it. Be like a skin, just shed your skin. Just be like a snake and just do it. Move on, your contract's up. Just do it. Switch your name. You know, my husband was like, well, you're giving up on all your work. No, people will still know that I was T.M. Pigatt. And I'm glad to have this podcast because so many people ask, why did you change your name? Here's your answer. I saved it till now. Here's your answer. I went through something that was totally traumatic to where I had to start anew in some way, or I was not going to get up in the morning and be a writer anymore.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm, you know, my heart goes out to you for the loss of your father, you know, but what I am so happy to hear you say is that you knew you had to continue, right? You knew you had to keep going because I will share, you know, that when my parents passed, their deaths were so close together. They died like 7-8 months apart, you know, that it was a really, really hard year. So I know that pain of grappling with, I'm either going to stop
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to figure out how to keep moving forward, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be such a hard, you know, for everybody out there listening, it can be such a hard journey. I have so many friends who are creators, you know, so many people who are out there who are like, you know, Angela, if I wouldn't have had this, you know, if I wouldn't have had my writing, if I wouldn't have had this or that, I don't know, you know, what the next day would have looked like for me. You know what I mean? And so I'm so glad that you found your way forward, you know, and that you were able to continue and not give up on something that you love to do, your writing, but that you're also able to do it now like you said, shedding your skin, using this voice, and moving forward, because that's a powerful thing to me personally, being able to continue when you've had such loss and you have so much pain. I tell people, like, when your spirit's heavy, when your soul is, just like blah, when you don't have that joy anymore, it's really, really difficult to keep doing the everyday things. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you were able to continue and to not let it make you stop. Congratulations for that. Congratulations.
You too. I mean, because this is people think, oh, well, they're just writing words down. No, it's so much more to a story than just writing words down. You're creating characters that you hope resonate with other people, and each character that you create, it's a piece of you because it came from you. It's like in a metaphoric way of having a child. So it's your work, and like I always tell people, you don't have to like it. I hope that you do, but I don't believe in when you don't like it, because it was one time I was going to stop because a person just like tore my book down. I had like 20 great reviews, but this one where they completely annihilated me, and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And and then I even called Unique and said, I'm done. She said, no. She says, you never know what that person was going through, why they were so, fierce with their comments or whatever. She said, but then you got to look at it too. To that 1 to that 20, does it really outweigh what you're putting out there? And, and you really want your voice to be heard. And then I realized, why should I stop something? I don't know if this is a gift that God gave me or whatever, but I know he put something in me to say, this is what I want for you to do, because otherwise, why would he keep putting the movies in my head and make a way for me to be able to do it? So
I agree with Unique, and I'm glad that she was able to coach you through that moment. Because, for all the people out there listening to our voices, let me say this, right? Reviews. Okay. Reviews. All right. We are humans. We have feelings. Okay. You may not like the story, granted. There are some genres I just do not read. Everybody knows I don't like horror. I'm just I don't watch horror movies. I don't read horror books, right? But that's my thing. I don't like it, right? So I'm not going to go read a book by somebody who writes horror and be like, oh, this was crap. No, please, people. We have feelings. Look at this. The skin. I have a heart. I have a heart right there.
The worst I would do is say, this book just wasn't for me. That just wasn't for me. And that's even if I leave a review. If it's something that I'm not going to like, I'm not going to tear that person down, because it takes a lot of work to do what we do. And it takes a lot of work to do whatever you're doing out there to create. It takes a lot of work to go to work every day and deal with people. So I'm not going to tear somebody down for something that they had to take their time and energy to do.
I completely agree with that. And that's the thing, because I tell people all the time, if I read something and I love it, I read a review. I loved it, and this is why, Mm-hmm. But, if I didn't like it, if it wasn't my jam, okay, I really don't even have to leave that review. Why? Who cares? You know what I mean? Because, and I think it's because for me, the way I see it is, I see it as telling the next person, hey, this is like a kudo. This is like an uplift. I don't really have a reason to tear down the next thing. You know what I mean? It's like, now if I buy something on Amazon and it breaks a day after I buy it, that's different, people.
Yeah, that's absolutely different, because that's a product that I brought that somebody should have known wasn't gonna work.
Okay. And I want my refund, Amazon. I'm just saying. That's different. It's totally different. Now this makes me ask one more question before I get to that. What's next?
No problem.
What book is your favorite? Because as I hear you talk about putting parts of your life on the page, and just what this means to you, and how all of these things have changed, which one is there? One of your books that you have out there that either because it was so much of your life on the page, or maybe because it was not, do you have something that is a favorite for you? That if somebody says, what book should I start with? Which S. Frost book? Or what book should I read? What's the book that you love that you would tell them to read?
I don't necessarily have any favorites. That's the weird thing. Because it's like when I write and the book goes out, I can just leave it alone. I read the reviews and I'm done. And then if it's something in the review that I say, okay, maybe I need to go check out in the book, I will go back to. But I will say, if I wanted somebody to really get started to my work, first, okay, the game 1 and 2. If you want to get into S. Frost's work, because S. Frost and T.M. Pike, there is going to be a difference in between. I know that already. So, the game, that's great. Or you can wait to the next one. If you're not a suspense person, the next one that's coming out probably won't be suspense. I'm trying to mix it up. But as far as any book right now, I would have to say the Clock Brothers series. And I would say that because it was my first self-promotion, but also because it's about a diverse family. Okay, it's a family that sticks together. And you may not like how they stick together sometimes, but they stick together no matter what. And they, to me, are the true definition of family.
I like that. So we'll have to make sure that we link and give people information so they know where to find the Clock Brothers series, right? So that they can make sure they can get their hands on that. All right, so I heard you say that you're going to shake it up for S. Frost, and the next thing might not be mystery suspense. So that takes me to the next question. What is next? What will be the next thing we will see come out from you?
Well, it's funny because I'm constantly writing. It's like I write and then I go read. Because I'm reading everybody, I'm always reading. Because it's almost like learning for me to make sure to turn the phrase a different way. So I'm always reading. I'm working on right now Deceit. And it's the beginning of the Betrayal series. Deceit, in this case, is about a woman that got a best friend, and then she meets the best friend brother, fall in love, and of course he does something deceitful. So this she has to come back to her hometown after she runs away, and she has to find a way to deal with that deceit and how to move on, and if she should give that person another chance. That one is more about forgiveness, because sometimes it's a hard thing to give, but we have to learn to give it if we want to move on, and not just for the other person. That's one thing I say in the book. You have to forgive people not for them, but for yourself, so it doesn't weigh on you. So that's that. I have that, and then that'll be different books mixed up with different deceits on different levels, but always romance in it. And then there's another suspense that I've already written that one, and I got the lipstick murders that are coming out. So I'm trying to get it all in there. Whatever my crazy little brain trying to get it in, that's what I'm trying to work with.
Okay, so should they expect any of these to be out soon, like in the next couple of months before the end of the year, or is this
before the end of the year? Deceit, definitely. I've done most of the chapters, but like with Shattered Lives, I kind of like stopped and done it 5 different ways. So because it's a lot that I'm trying to put in the book, but I don't want to overwhelm the readers, and then I don't want to lose them either with too much in the book. And as you know, as a writer, that's so easily that can be done.
I can see you definitely. It sounds like you're about to split that up and definitely have a series with that and break all that up, which is kind of cool because a lot of readers I'm not the big series writer. I only have a couple of things that are series. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because people come back and they're like, well, Angel, are you going to write, XYZ of this or blah, 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 of that? And I'm like, that was not in my plans, but yeah. So when you say you don't want to overwhelm them and put too much, I completely understand that, because then that actually gives you that ability to, split it, tell more story, do, whatever. So, and honestly, so many readers love that. I just,
I don't plan on really like splitting up the Deceit unless I have to. Mm-hmm. But like I said, the Betrayal series is going to be different standalone books, but all of them have some kind of sense of betrayal in it. A secret that came out that should have been told beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, it becomes a dirty little secret. So exactly. Yeah, I get that. Okay, all right. So now, because you've done all this shifting and changing, as we close, tell us how do we find you? What is the best social media or your website? How do people who want to keep up with you know when these new books are releasing? Where do they go to find you?
Well, I'm on my website very little, I hate to say, because I have so much going on. But the best way to keep up with me is Facebook and Instagram. I have, all you gotta do is put in author S. Frost and my website will come up there. Or if you want to go through my regular page, my everybody know me kind of page, there's Lisa T.M. Pigatt page. And any book, no matter what name I go under, I will announce it on that page. But there's the S. Frost page, and then the T.M. Pigatt page. I haven't posted anything lately because I haven't done anything under that name, but it has all my books also on there. And then if you put author T.M. Pigatt, my web link will come up. It has all the books listed there. I think except for the very last one that was done under After Hours. I haven't had time to update that one. And then the same thing with S. Frost. They're both under Winks, a website. So, and then if you want to buy a cover from me, I got the cover shop. So,
I had a whole episode that I did talking about self-published authors and the side hustles. You got the cover shop, you got everything. You definitely got your side hustles going on. I like that. Congratulations on everything that you're doing. Congratulations. I want to say it has been a pleasure to meet you. It is absolutely a pleasure. And, thank you for sharing so much of your life with me and with everybody who is listening or everybody who is watching, because, as a writer myself and as somebody who stopped writing because of so much that was going on in my life and trying to figure my way from there to where I am now. And I'm looking forward, trying to get to where I really want to be, because I'm not there yet. As somebody who, put a pause on life because I lost so much and I was in just not a good place. I want to say congratulations on not just your writing, and revamping and rebranding and coming out there, like you said, shedding your skin. But I want to say congratulations on surviving the pain and surviving the loss and believing in yourself and your purpose and continuing on and not giving up on your voice and your writing, because there are people out there who obviously love your work. There are people out there who are checking for you. And I'm so happy that you were able to continue. And thank you so much again for joining me.
No problem. Thank you. It was an honor to meet you and whatnot. I'm going to tell you that my next step is to move when everything gets going, is to make movies. And my big thing is I want to turn authors like you and I want our books to go into the movie theaters, because I think some incredible work is being overlooked. So hopefully I can bring us all up to that next level.
All right, you give me a call, girlie, because I like it. People who have been following me long enough, they know that I love theater, and I started in theater in undergrad, and they know I love movies because I have a degree in film and television and radio production.
Oh, we got to get together then.
All of that. You would say nothing but a word, my friend. Nothing but a word. You holler at me when you're ready, okay?
Okay.
All right. So to everybody out there in YouTube world and everybody out there in podcast land, this is S. Frost, and I am Angela K. Austin. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will come back and join me again soon. Thank you, guys.